warns against it. He says, don't do it. Don't be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Wise people, you see, they think about potential pitfalls, whereas foolish people kind of skip happily along right into a hole. Wise people mitigate risks at healthy levels. They do that in their career. We learned that in this series. They do it financially. We saw that in this series. And they also do it to protect their character as well. Wise people realize that they are just as susceptible to the next guy to falling, and so they mitigate the risk. They put up accountability around them. They make sure that they don't go off the grid. They install systems, policies, and procedures around them to stay far, far from the ledge. For example, I don't touch money at church. You try to hand me a check, I won't take it. I don't even want to put myself in a position where I could be accused of something wrong. I don't allow myself a single hour of my day where someone on my team doesn't know where I'm at. I don't. I don't go anywhere in the evenings without my wife knowing exactly where I'm at and who with. It's not wise. I don't drive anywhere, just me and a woman in the car. Sometimes I wonder, am I acting overly cautious? But God's wisdom reminds me that those who assume no one will accuse them, assume nothing harmful pursues them, and assume they cannot fall from any height, are acting in simple and senseless ways, as the writer of Proverbs 7 says. Are you getting yourself into the wrong places at the wrong times? If so, just wise up and get off this path and get onto the path of wisdom. If you don't, next will come step 2. The verse continues in verse 10. It says, then out came a woman to meet him, dressed like a prostitute. Now, the woman in this passage didn't actually prostitute herself, but to say that she dressed like a prostitute describes someone who is dressed provocatively. And this is what's going to lead us up to step number 2. Step number 2 is when someone comes along and catches your eye. Friends, this is going to happen. Someone will catch your eye. If you're single, it's going to happen to you. If you're married, it's still going to happen to you. Just because you have a favorite beach destination doesn't mean you won't find beauty in any other beach. This will still happen if you're married. When someone catches your eye, you've committed no foul, you've done no harm, but what will you do when sitting in the restaurant and having someone catch your eye like that? I was posted up at a restaurant right down the road, working on this exact message just a few days back, and I was contemplating the thought, well, what should you do when someone catches your eye? And, well, you know, for starters, you shouldn't get all giddy about it and go chasing after them. I mean, that's for sure. And just as I was thinking this thought, guess who walked through the door? Jessica Biel. Get behind me, Satan, I thought to myself. I'm not kidding, this actually happened. Excited that Hoffman Estates had turned into Hollywood, I started texting some friends to have them come join me. I figured nothing wrong with that, a little added accountability if nothing else. And so these guys come up and, these are pastors, I mean, it's not like I was inviting the kind of guys who would do something shamelessly just to get closer to her or anything, I mean, there's plenty of guys I could have called. They probably would have thrown their little baby boy in the back seat. I drove up there just so they'd have that kind of cute baby trick on hand. It's not like I was inviting those kind of guys, right? I mean, it's not like, I don't know, say Aaron Nyquist would bring little baby Mac Nyquist along just to get closer to Jessica Biel, right? Right. You know what I love about this picture? Little Mac Nyquist didn't play along. He knew better. Wise young man. And as a side note, men, if you're ever confronted with temptation, if you'll just mimic this, you're going to be okay. Now, all kidding aside, many men after an encounter like that with Jessica Biel, they would have went home, they would have Googled her name, and they would have begun to pore over her pictures and take their heart down a path that's not good for it. Visual beauty is a powerful thing. We only have to look at the rise of the pornography industry to prove it. You know, our care pastors here at the church, they tell us the most common call they get is someone calling saying, I just found out my spouse is looking at pornography. What do I do? Church, we have to get wiser in this area. The rise of the internet has thrown out a welcome mat to an enemy of sexual purity the world never knew before. The truth about pornography is that it enslaves people. And it perverts our view of sexuality. It hinders our ability to experience real sexual intimacy. And it destroys relationships. We have to get much wiser here.